This program was funded in part by a Ready to Learn, No Child Left Behind grant from the U.S. Department of Education through the Public Broadcasting Service, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome to today's video. Well, we are now officially 4 weeks until Election Day, and as far as I know of, there are already a few states that have already started the actual, voting process. So, in honor of that, with it being 4 weeks till Election Day, and we're really getting close and still getting pretty close, we are going to go over my election predictions. But to kind of briefly go over how I've been over the years, all the way back in 2018 when I started this, I did it based on 3 things. What party is going to control both houses of Congress, and who was going to be either Ohio governor or who's going to be president. So it kind of alternates back and forth between Ohio governor and president. So 2018, it was the governor. I was hoping for, I know you're gonna call me a hater on this one, Richard Cordray for Ohio governor, who was the Democrat challenger, and that the Republicans were going to control both houses of Congress, the House with a decent Republican majority, and the Senate a slight Republican majority. And only one I got right was the Senate, because the House got turned over to the Democrats, and Mike DeWine became governor in that election. Now in 2020, I predicted that both houses was going to have a slight Republican majority, and Trump was going to win re-election. All wrong. Democrats controlled both houses of Congress. I don't remember how big of a majority it was, but it was at least a simple majority. And, Biden was elected president, and he's still our current president, even though he barely did nothing for almost 4 years. Well, that's a story for another time. And most recently, in 2022, I predicted that the Republicans will control both houses of Congress with a slight majority, and that Mike DeWine would lose re-election, with Non Whaley, the challenger, winning the governorship. Out of all those, 1 out of 3, the House went back to the Republicans by a slight majority by about, I think it was like 4 or 5 seats. And the Senate stayed under the Democrats by about, I think it was a simple majority of 51. So, and DeWine won re-election. So, in 2026, we'll be voting for a new governor, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. So, this year, before I officially give out my predictions, I would like to go over a few things that will be going over, or at least some of the things that will be happening, in terms of elections for here in Ohio. Just that way, you don't have to listen to this if you're not from Ohio, but if you are from Ohio, you might want to pay attention, but if not, you might learn a little thing or two. So, the only thing in terms of the state government for, here in Ohio, up for election this year is the State General Assembly, which is the state legislature. They are 2-year terms, so every other year we, vote for a new General Assembly, kind of like Congress. So that it's whatever. There are currently 132 seats for the body. Currently, both chambers of the Ohio General Assembly are controlled by Republicans. I'm pretty sure it's a supermajority, if I recall correctly, but that's a story for another time. Moving on. So, now we come over to the federal level, which, of course, all 435 seats of the House of Representatives, in Washington are up for grabs. They're obviously 2-year terms. As mentioned in the Constitution before, you have to be a U.S. You have to be at least 25. You have to live in the state that you're going to represent for at least 7 years. And you have to actually live in the state that you are going to represent in the House. Excuse me. So, for the Senate, since the Senate is split up into 3 different classes, all the senators that are classified into Class 1 are up for grabs. So, if you, my fellow Americans, live in the following 33 states of Arizona, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Hawaii, Indiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Dakota, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Congratulations, you have a senator election in your state. For right now, here in Ohio, we have, our 2 main senator nominees for, both parties. For Democrats, here in Ohio, you have the incumbent, Sherrod Brown, up against Republican challenger, Bernie Moreno. And we'll go over the results of that sometime after Election Day. But that's not the main thing I wanted to go over. So, the Senate is only, each Senate term is for 6 years, in which you have to be 30 years old, live in a state for at least 9 years, and you have to live in a state that you're going to represent, as stated in the Constitution. And then, of course, the big daddy one that everyone's paying a lot more attention to is the president, which, obviously is a 4-year term. You can only have 2 terms max. Only exception is, FDR, because, he was elected for a record 4 terms, but only served 3.5 of them. And, he is to date the only president to serve the longest amount of time in office until, the term limit thing was, kind of went into effect. Although the funny thing is that when the term limit thing kind of happened, the only current president that was immune to that was Harry Truman. But that's a story for another time. So, now that we kind of went over all of that, it's now time to reveal my predictions. So, starting over with the House. What party do I think is going to control the House of Representatives in Washington for the next Congress? Well, for my prediction, I'm going to say it is going to be a Republican majority. It's going to be a majority by about, at least 10 to 15 seats, but who's to say? Most Americans want Democrats to control Congress, but we'll see how that goes. For the Senate, who do I think is going to control the Senate? For my prediction, I'm going to say it's going to be the Republicans again, but it's going to be a slight majority by about 4 or 5 seats. And here's the one you're all waiting for. Who do I think is going to win the presidency? Well, when I was originally getting all this down and, making sure I'm all caught up and putting down all of the past ones on a Google Doc, which is what I have up on my iPad right now, right behind my phone. I originally had Robert Kennedy Jr. as my pick for president. Why? Because, third party. I'm honestly tired about the the two-party system, as you may have seen in a previous video before, or follow me on any of my other social medias, or know me in person. I'm honestly tired of our two-partisan government, and we need to let other parties get a say. But, you know, since he dropped out back in, oh god, it was like probably back in like June, July, somewhere around there, August. It was sometime over the summer. I don't remember actually. But he endorsed Trump, and I had to kind of change my president prediction. So I think that it's going to be a repeat of 2016, personally. Meaning one candidate is going to win the popular vote, and the other will win by the Electoral College. So, in my presidential prediction, I am going to say that current Vice President, Democrat Kamala Harris, is going to win the popular vote, but she will lose the Electoral College to former President Donald Trump by, you know, winning the Electoral College himself. That's why I was saying it's going to be a repeat of 2016. So, yeah, my presidential pick is going to be Trump. Only for the fact that he wins the Electoral College, but loses the popular vote. Now, there's a whole lot of things I could say about the Electoral College that a lot of people do not like the Electoral College, because they would rather let it be, you know, a popular vote to, you know, that picks the president. Whoever gets the most of the people votes gets, you know, the office, just like all the other offices in the country aside from the presidency. But the founding fathers wanted to have Electoral College system because they didn't trust the will of the people. But, you know, that was, you know, 2.5 centuries ago, and this is the present day. So, yeah, that's kind of where we stand, and I will make my own video on what I think about the Electoral College is at a later time. Now is not the time. So, that's all I have to say. Republican majority House, a slight Republican majority Senate, and Kamala winning the popular vote, while Trump wins the Electoral College. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, or whatever comes out. We'll see you later.
This program was funded in part by a Ready to Learn, No Child Left Behind grant from the U.S. Department of Education through the Public Broadcasting Service, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.